Now, could taking small amounts of psychedelic drugs be beneficial to your health? It sounds like a pretty extraordinary question, but tomorrow a trial of what's known as microdosing will attempt to find out.
It's been claimed that taking small doses of mind-altering substances such as LSD on a daily basis can help boost creativity or even lift some people out of depression. We're joined by Harry Sumnall. He's the Professor of Substance Use at Liverpool John Moores University. I wasn't aware until Victoria just told me how prevalent this is actually, that even some sixth form students are taking small quantities of LSD to get themselves through their exams.
Yeah, well, we don't know precisely how many people are doing this, but it's certainly increasing in popularity, and there's been lots of media attention on microdosing over the last few years. As many drug trends, it emerged from the USA in the 1970s, but over the last few years there's been a lot of discussions, particularly in Silicon Valley, but also internationally, as you mentioned, around mental health and well-being and creativity, about how potentially microdosing can help people with those sorts of issues. But the key thing is, at the moment, we don't have any research to suggest whether it's actually effective or not.
What I'm struggling with is, of course, taking these drugs is illegal. So how can you legally set up experiments with people to get the research that you need? I don't quite understand that.
Well, you're right. So, the general public, if they wanted to take some of these drugs, so LSD is a Class A drug, so that's considered to have the most serious penalties under law around possession and supply. But usually under medical trials and clinical trials, there's special licenses which can be obtained from the Home Office, which allow administration of otherwise controlled substances under controlled laboratory conditions. But this new study is interesting because it's actually not taking place in the laboratory. Now, there has been studies at Imperial University, for example, in London, where they've been administering LSD and psilocybin and looking at the effects of those on symptoms of anxiety and depression. But with this new research, what they're intending to do is study people who are already engaging in this sort of practice.
They know have taken it?
Yes, they know that they're taking it, so the scientists aren't encouraging these people to commit an offence.
But so how do you study this? So are the scientists questioning whether this is actually having an effect, or whether there is a placebo effect because they've taken it and therefore they think they are more focused and more creative?
Yes, as I mentioned before, there's been a lot of interest and a lot of discussion into microdosing, and a lot of it's been very, very positive. So what the scientists are trying to do is to set up a procedure whereby people are preparing their own microdoses at home, but through how they actually set up gel capsules and self-administering this, the individuals don't know what they're taking on a day-to-day basis. So it's in some way it's replicating and simulating some of the conditions which you might find in a normal trial. There are some issues, of course, because it is an illegal behaviour. So they're not buying this product from legitimate pharmacies, or it's not supplied through a hospital. So there are some concerns about whether people are going to be taking a pure compound. There might be some concerns around dosing as well, because remember, microdosing is so-called sub-threshold doses, so people aren't getting these full-on psychedelic effects. I think the last thing anybody would want to do is to go for a day of work and to have a full-blown psychedelic experience.
Yeah, I can think that's...
Can you imagine doing that?
Might be a problem in the middle of your A-levels. Yeah, I can see why that might be an issue, yeah. OK, well, that's really interesting. Thank you very much indeed for coming in to talk to us about it.
Thanks.